Association, the Award Selection Committee. There is no other person I'd rather share this award with than JP, so thank you very much for honoring us together. To Dr. Jones, Amy Fasler, Jessica Sharps, Mary Jo Thomas, recipients and guests. I'd like to start by honoring my family and acknowledging them. To the birthday girl herself, my mom, Mary Frances, my dad, Tom, my sister, Marissa, my brother, Tommy, my niece, Gina, my uncle Al and Aunt Tony, to my beautiful children, Vincent Angelo and David Bella, and to former Fighting Falcon football player and Fairmont State alumni, my husband, Glenn. It's a funny thing. Most of the people you see supporting me today were along for the ride 23 years ago. When I, a freshman, entered Pritchard Hall for the very first time. I will never forget that day. 3 cars full of my grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, school supplies, clothes, Italian food, made it into Pritchard Hall. Not 1, but 3 cars. And on that day, Fairmont State new student orientation counselors descended upon each one of those cars. A group of freshman counselors descended upon us with much enthusiasm, sharing love for their school, so excited to move me in, welcoming me as one of the newest members of the Falcon family. Dozens of pepperoni rolls, jars of sauce peppers, bins of clothes made it up each flight of steps, where 10 members of my immediate family stood in the middle of my dorm room, pointing to different parts and different corners of the room for boxes to sit. It didn't take long for me to get settled in. I remember being lost on campus a few times and late to a handful of classes. And at the end of the first quarter, I applied for a work study position where I was placed in the concession stand serving popcorn at the basketball games. Well, without a food handler's card, I was quickly moved, and I started to work in student affairs, where I began working for and learning from Bill Bailey and Della Huffman in the Career Services office. I met Glenn near the beginning of my second semester here at school. I always knew it was lunchtime when I smelled hot dog chili before seeing him round the corner of our cubicle. Glenn and I shared many a yan dog and ice-cold chocolate milk sitting on the steps of Hardway Hall. One opportunity led to another, and I spent the next 3 summers honored to work with Michael Belmere, coordinating and facilitating new student orientation. It was in Michael's office where I met Kat Stevens and Amy Fasler. Kat was my strength and confidant, and Amy, boy did I have big shoes to fill. Michael shared all about her work around new student orientation, and I knew I had a lot to learn. I remember thinking in that meeting how important it was for me to serve the incoming freshmen and their families in the way that they had served me, and that was exactly what I set out to do. Over the next few years, I had the great fortune of interacting with hundreds of family members of new students and mentoring new students, having more than my fair share of fun along the way. Johnny P., always close by my side, photo-documented the journey, cracking up at my talent show performances and ill attempts at camp sing-along songs where we shared belly laughs. In my senior year, I had the immense honor of representing the student body as the student member sitting on the faculty senate, traveling with the former president, Janet Dudley Eschbach, to the West Virginia legislature. I spoke with Senator Roman Prezioso, former House of Delegates member Sam Can, and former Senator Joe Manchin about the importance of allocating funds to post-secondary institutions for programming that supported efforts in identifying at-risk populations of students on college campuses. I was also honored to turn a shovel of dirt and broke ground for the Gaston Caperton Center to be built in Clarksburg, my hometown. Although I changed my major 4 times in 4 years, graduation was upon me. Sitting in Dr. Janet's office, she looked at me and said, "So Mary, what's next?" And I remember thinking, is she kidding me? She's gotta be crazy. I haven't even finished this yet. But I knew better. I knew she was challenging me to do better, to be better, and to want more. She challenged me in the same way Michael would challenge me. When I would run into his office with what I thought was an amazing idea and something we just had to implement, and he'd give me that look under his glasses and tell me to go back and think a little bit harder. Or the way my instructor and advisor, Judy Radcliffe, would remind me of the importance of encouraging my students to think through the process, and how my professor, Dr. Kolbig, advised me to remember that every student in the classroom sits with a different set of life experiences, and it was my job as their teacher to explore those experiences in order to better serve them. And how Charlie Endicott advised me against becoming a graduating from Fairmont State paved the journey that guided me to Johns Hopkins University not once but twice, first as a master's student studying counseling, and then as an administration and supervision student. Graduating from Fairmont State drove me to a doctorate in special education from Nova Southeastern University, where I researched and wrote about post-secondary transition, matriculation, and retention, and the effects of non-academic college readiness for students with learning disabilities, the at-risk population I had started learning about so many years before. Graduating from Fairmont State allowed me to spread my wings and taught me how to change and to be the change in education that I wanted to see for each and every student. My family and I spent the day on campus yesterday in awe of the grove. We enjoyed a tour, shopping in the bookstore, and dinner in the cafeteria. My journey came full circle when the very first person I met on campus in August of 1994 was the very last person to share an embrace with me on this trip. Studying my face as I walked towards him, Dr. Greg Hinton looked hard and he said, "Valtteri, it's you." He ran over to me, embraced me, hugged me, and we swung around. He shared the story of the day he met me with my children, remembering detail in only the way he could remember it. Dr. Hinton pushed me. Our 1996 Race, Class, and Gender course forced me to examine every detail of the way I thought, how I acted, what I believed, and demanded that I require better. I have a plaque in my kitchen that reads, "What will you do with this one wild and crazy life?" I look at it every day, reading each word as if for the first time. I think the life lessons bestowed upon me, the questions, the advice, the teachable moments. I think of how I can affect change, and I am grateful that my journey began in this beautiful state, where one of the cornerstones is engraved in maroon and white and reads, Fairmont State University. To my children, Vincent Angelo and David Bella, and to my niece, Gina Marie, I challenge you in the ways that Fairmont State has challenged me. I challenge you to do better, to be better, to want more, and to never stop asking, what will you do with this one very important crazy life? Thank you all so very much.
Good job, Mom.
Thank you, Sylvie. Congratulations. One more time. Let's honor Mary.